Welcome back to another episode of Welcome to the Industry. I'm your host, Big Demo, and we're here under the New York Underground Radio umbrella. Today's guest is a writer who dabbles in a little bit of everything in the movie world. He's over here now connected with Disney. He survived all the little writer guild blocks, and we're not gonna write for you out there on the street. He's done things with HBO that are marvelous, as well as Fox and CBS. Let me introduce you to my guest, a good friend in the industry and in life, Sang Yi. What's up, Sang?
Hey man, how you doing, brother? It's good to hear from you.
It's good to hear from you, brother. What's going on? What's new?
Well, right now we're putting together a crime comedy with Danny DeVito, and hopefully get Disney to distribute that. That'd be a great project for everybody to get involved in. Um, yeah, I'm trying to stay away from TV as much as possible. I feel like television is the redheaded stepchild of the motion picture industry. They always try to give you a little bit of what you want to see, and then they get you to come back. It's like,
Oh, so you're away from TV right now.
well, I do a little bit of everything, but the only TV that I'm
Right.
interested in is Disney and HBO because they have the best budgets and the best food.
Man, that food has got to be so marvelous. Like the catering. I can only imagine like all day catering when you have
Oh
it,
man,
where you just have money and you don't care. Like you're just like, hey, buy the restaurant, send it over, like send it over twice. Like that's
oh
crazy. I'm
man,
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. And then
yeah.
even with Fox, I know they I've done stuff with Fox too. They've had pretty good food things. Now with everything going on, and you were saying like you had just connected with Disney, and now you're trying to get this budget for the Danny DeVito flick. Who else is involved in the film that's pushing it out there along with the face with Danny?
Well, we've shopped it around, and the only person that really who showed an interest was Natalie Portman. I
Really?
originally wanted to, yeah, she'll show up for a screen test for only like 10 G's. Val Kilmer was also kind of similar, but he had passed away recently from cancer, and I originally
Right.
wanted
Rest
to
in peace, my
offer
dog.
him some roles. But yeah, man, I've known Natalie's parents for 20 years, so um, you know, I've always wanted to get her involved in a project, but she's always unavailable. You know what I mean? There's like a 4 or 5 year waiting list for that girl.
Period, man. I mean, since she was a little girl, since the professional, she's been like this big call that is never could be around, and we know about Nat. All right, so let's get into who Sangi is with the film industry. So what era of your life did you decide writing was going to be like your thing? Was it like in middle school or in high
Oh
school,
man,
or when was it that you think it influenced you?
I think it was middle school, man, when I watched Dances with Wolves and I watched Kevin Costner
Oh
write the
wow.
journal. And I started writing when I first got my computer. I think I was 12 years old. I was like seventh grade, right? And I wrote just nonsense in the beginning, really. Like, I mean, I kind of tried to do a biography, but Hollywood kind of groans on that. They kind of frown on that. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want any kind of like, self perpetuating nonsense in the industry. I went to college in Santa Barbara, and I used to date this Vietnamese girl who was really into theater, and I wanted to impress her. So I would write these like screenplays and send it to her, and show her that that I could
Wow.
write. Yeah, it was all
That's
over trying
love,
to impress
Sting.
a girl, dude, and that's the truth, man.
That's
That is
love,
the
brother.
sad truth, dude.
That's love, brother. I'm gonna write you a screenplay, girl.
Yeah, she got married recently. She's a doctor now, which is strange.
Oh, after all those
Yeah.
screenplays you didn't even win. Jeez. Go figure.
Yeah, it's kind of strange because a lot of the people that know me from like Marina Valley and the people that I kind of consider intelligent people, they kind of read my writing and tell me it's shit. They're like, "No, it's crap. Do it again." And that also kind of forces me to kind of go back to the drawing board and improve it over and over again. I really appreciate the honesty and the rawness from my friends too when they read my stuff. Um, but yeah, man, writers become directors because you don't want the director to butcher your work. and then the director becomes the producer because you don't want the film studio to tell you how much money you can spend or who you can't hire. It's just kind of
Correct.
one
Okay.
progression to
Excellent.
another. Just like how, in the music industry, you have the artists that kind of like go around and shop themselves around to label to label, that realize that all the labels are kind of just in it for themselves. They take all your money anyway, and you only make money like doing the shows and stuff like that. And a lot of these
Pretty
artists,
much.
especially in hip hop,
Thank you.
they
Right.
realize that business and they open their own label. They produce the work themselves. And it's just really at that point, you're just looking for a distributor. Hopefully
That's
Sony or
it.
Warner Brothers.
That's it.
Interscope would be amazing. You know what I mean?
It would.
But yeah, man. The industry is constantly changing. It's changing hands. Ownership's always changing. So it's interesting to see how people view entertainment and listen to entertainment. Um, with the same materials but different methods of doing so. You know what I mean? Like we went from like the CRT to like, big screens, then now we have flat screens at home. I mean, in 50 years, what is entertainment going to be? I mean, we're not going to be around to see this, but it would be
Wow.
interesting. It would be
That's a great
interesting. There's
perspective.
a yeah, there's a commercial that Sony did for PlayStation 9 when PS2 came out. Okay,
Right.
and
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
video of this kid like holding this sphere, and he like holds this sphere and then it connects to his brain and then he sees the game inside of his head. you know and that commercial was, man, that's 20 years old now, that commercial, dude. So there's this, art imitates life and life imitates art, and it's just interesting to see how it changes, man. It's really a cultural significance too, brother. Culturally, politically, a lot of the hip hop artists out there argue about politics and stuff like that. And it's interesting to
Right.
see um, the direction that the influence is going. And it's really great to see all the artists come together, especially on a film set or even like a record studio. Man, there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Absolutely.
Mixing, remixing, printing the advertisements, you know what I'm saying? Marketing,
Oh
that's
no, you're there.
expensive.
You're there for the day. Yeah, you're there.
You
You're
know,
there for the day.
when you do the shows, when you throw the shows, man, like you got to pay, your riggers $50 an hour. I mean, it costs millions of dollars to throw a show, at like a
Period.
real venue, like a big venue where you house, like, now, I mean, back in the day when we were in high school, like 30,000 people in an auditorium was a lot. But now we have these crazy concerts where there's like 100,000, 150,000, concert goers at the same time. Imagine if everybody paid $150 per ticket, right? That would be what? Like $30 million in one night,
Easy,
you
easy, and
know?
that's just what we showed, right?
Yep.
That's what we
Right.
showed,
Yeah.
because a lot of that doesn't get counted for.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is written off because there's a lot of expenses. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could write off,
Absolutely.
you could write off payroll, you could write off food, you could write off gasoline, you can write off clothes and stuff like that. So, people say that Hollywood has creative accounting, but that's everywhere. You know what I mean? Particularly
Yeah.
in banking, even in politics. Look at Gavin Newsom. Now they're saying he spent $250 billion trying to save California, but where did all that money go? You know,
Where did it go?
we could have put that money back into arts and education. We could have put that money back into, you know, um, helping kids realize their dreams, either in music or film or any kind of other art.
Fair.
Otherwise, you know,
I agree, man. Fair, and it's just because it goes to waste anyways because it's unaccounted for. We don't know what's going on, so we have to consider it as wasted. We don't never see it, and then the next thing you know, we're back on to the next subject of, well, we need this or we need that. California, okay, cool, man. I don't know how we got to this point, but there's still houses sliding off the hill. There's still, there's
oh
stuff going
yeah,
on.
man, the fire was crazy, dude. It's just, but that's just
Right.
California, man. That's the price that we pay to live here, right?
Yeah. So
Um,
so my next situation for you is I wanted to know, and this is like a question I think a lot of people want to know, and it's just because so many people, it's so easy and I think you're going to tell us anyways how easy it is to shoot yourself in the foot in Hollywood. But what's a common mistake a lot of writers make when working with the bigs like HBO and Max and Showtime?
My my first boss at HBO wanted me to write a comedy, and that's not really my forte. I specialize in crime films, and my boss was like, nobody wants to hear a mob story saying. And I'm looking at him in his office. I'm like, why? Because you're a mobster? And but I
That's hilarious.
so
You're like,
he,
what?
you know, yeah, I suppose it depends on who you work for, but
Okay.
a lot of people in
Well, that's
Hollywood
why I'm
wanted me
asking.
to, yeah,
That's why I'm
they
asking all the majors.
they wanted me to write something funny that was easily digestible, hypoallergenic. Anyone could watch it. Rated PG. If you make a film that is rated R, it's kind of hard to get a distributor. You know what I mean? Unless it's
Right.
like Fox, but then now Fox is Disney, so um, to
Right.
make it
Right.
like accessible to everybody, you want to shoot for like PG-13 max. You know, but I do crime, and there's a lot of like interesting scenes in my films where it would not allow a PG-13, so it's all art. But my boss is all about the dollar, the bottom line, because he has a responsibility to pay the wage of everybody. You know what I mean? We're spending $200,000-300,000 a day on an HBO set, and he doesn't want any of that go to waste. So he's looking at it from a business perspective, whereas I'm looking at it from an artist perspective. But 20 years later, now I know what my boss was talking about, because everything costs money, and you have to pay your people well.
Everything.
You know,
Everything.
it is a very small industry. There's only 400,000 of us that work in motion pictures. And that's everybody: actors, producers, directors, the food people, the makeup people, the distributors, like everybody involved, you know. And we pull in $1.6 trillion a year from all the associated businesses. So my boss is looking at it from, the financial perspective, because he has colleagues that he has to compete with, you know, whereas I'm concerned about treating people right, because I've been at the bottom of the barrel too. I started in this business by
Right.
pulling cable, for a sound man, this Jewish guy from New York. And I mean, so did David Fincher, so did Steven Spielberg, so did James Cameron, right? Everyone started pulling cable, but
Dude, everybody,
it's,
even in my industry of music, I used to carry
yeah,
crates for other
yeah.
artists, DJs, yeah, just so you can see how it all works.
But it's an opportunity to see, like, the hustle and bustle of it, what it takes to get a production going. You know what I mean? And you
Yeah.
also get to shake hands with some people that you would have never met otherwise.
Period.
I'm a working class schmuck from Marina Valley, dude, from a small town out in the middle of the desert, bro. We moved out there because of the Air Force. I grew up in a working class family. My mother worked at the Toro company at making sprinklers. My father, typical fucking Korean family with their dry cleaners, right? We had a dry cleaners across from our Air Force
You're
base, and
so
that's just kind
stupid.
of, yeah, I mean, typical Korean family, dude. It's either that or a liquor
I mean,
store.
it's facts, but you're just like crazy, bro.
And that's kind of
Oh
where
my
I come
god.
from. And, to see people make hundreds of millions of dollars a year, it is just unfathomable to me. When I first saw my boss's house, I was like, holy crap, dude. I've never met a guy who had a steam shower in his house, bro. And I'm like, how much was this? Like $7,000.
Come on. Come on, bro. And you're just like, how did it? Like, once I seen a fish tank in someone's wall, I was like, okay. Like, it's in your
You
wall.
should,
It's in your wall.
you should see
Like,
Michael Bay's house, bro. You should
I
see Michael
bet.
Bay's house, dog.
I
This
bet.
guy has a $40 million house in Bel Air that has been in construction since 2009. Okay. He
Wow.
has, yeah, it's still in construction. He paid $10 million for the fucking empty land alone. Okay. He spent $30 million building this fucking place, dude. There's walls in his house where you push a button and they fucking open up like blinds. Like blinds, like on your windows, but the whole fucking wall opens up like blinds, bro. So the air can come in. Okay. There are
Wow.
no doorknobs in his house. Okay. Every door in his house is like 4 times the size of a regular door, and everything's by touch. You push it and it fucking opens, dude. Okay. This guy, when you walk up to his fucking stairway, bro, he has a walkway in the middle, and then two streams that come on both sides. It's like a river that comes down. And if you look at the water, it's completely flush to the stairs, right? So somebody had to calculate. Yeah, somebody had to calculate the water that comes down and evaporates and then keep up with the level of the stairs. It is nuts, dude. He has memorabilia from all his movies, bro. Transformers, that one, the Pearl Harbor. He has like a plane in his living room. He's got a fucking model of Bumblebee in his fucking living room, bro. He has the fucking in his living room, dog. He has this thing on his roof. It looks like a giant garage door, and you push a button, and the whole fucking roof comes up like a sunroof. It is crazy, dog. It is the craziest house I've ever seen in my life, dude.
I'm not jealous. I didn't say anything about jealousy.
I'm a little jealous. One day. I'm not working hard enough. Build a house like that. Yeah, man. But
I got like a like this automatic clipper. Like you clip it and you put it on your chips. That's it. That's where
I have one of those.
Right? Oh, we shop at the same place. Oh, crazy.
Oh man, in Moreno Valley, I shopped at Food for Less for 20 years, man.
Oh, Food for Less is great. That's where I used to break dance for food stamps. All right, so is there an idea that you ever gave up on and tried again later, or maybe one that you just couldn't figure out how to express it? Is there something like that existed for you?
Yeah, I want to make films that change people's perspectives, and there was a script, the Rabbit Ears one that I had sent you, that is 13 years of trials and tribulations. I had sent that script out to everybody, and a lot of people passed it.
I like it. I like it.
I thought it was well written. It was written by Joseph Shore. He worked at Apple for 30 years. He's a friend of mine that I met at church, and because he's a church friend, I kind of wanted to make it happen for him, but it passed the script around and nobody wanted to do it. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll pay for it myself. I will shoot this myself,
Wow.
And it took a significant amount of time to get a lender to loan me $150 million for this. So I don't know if that's going to be enough. Danny DeVito is going to take $30 million. His agent's going to take $10 million. Right. I want to get Samuel L. Jackson involved. I want to get Denzel involved, but they're 4 or 5 years out on waiting lists.
Right.
If I can get those two people involved, I think that it'll be a slam dunk. There's a lot of
the thing about the script, it's busy, bro. Like it's a movie that's I think if it came into fruition would have your mind so busy. It's just one of those movies you would rewatch over and over trying to figure out everything because there's so much happening and there's so much exchange and energy. And I like when I read it, I was just like, dude, like I want to see this. Like, how do you like you're trying to visualize when you're reading like what who this person is, who's saying what, but I think it's really well written to the point that if it did become a movie, it would be entertaining, surprisingly entertaining for people who read the title, wouldn't give it a try. You would give it a try, and like when I first read the title, I said, interesting, let's see what this means. And I guess whatever concept you end up with at the end, that's going to be your idea. But at the end, I was just like, brilliant. That's the word that came to mind. I was like, brilliant. This took me, almost 4 lefts in the freeway, but still came back, round to the beginning. So, like, I was like, okay, this is, and I think if you did get some of those names you mentioned involved, it would be great. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. It's just that I don't really know everybody yet. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people. It's just that Denzel I've never met. Mr. Jackson, I've never met him either. So I really don't know who their agents are. But one of these days, you know what I mean? I'll show up to one of their rap parties.
Yeah.
It's a small town, bro. Yeah, Hollywood is a small town, dude.
Bro, it's a stone's throw. Like I remember one time when I was like the year I lived out there and was signed under Universal, I was like, you know what I'm gonna do with my life today? I'm gonna go around Hollywood and see what this place is made of. And I was like 4 hours later, I was done. I was just like, oh, That's it. I
It's
guess
weird,
I
dude.
just right. I just keep driving, and I run into Bel Air or some other place because I was just like, "That's it. This is like a sale because they pump you up, but only when you enter the city is exciting. After that, you're just like, well, that's it. Like,
Yeah.
I was kind of pissed the first time I got there. But anyways, have you ever been in like a competitive a competition with someone you know in the industry for
Oh man.
a script
Oh
or a writing
god.
piece? And if
Yeah.
so, what was the result of the situation? How did that happen?
Oh. Okay. So
Give me one good
my
one.
my my boss at HBO wanted me to shoot a sample, like a short, okay, to show him that I could direct, right? So I was like, okay, fine, I could do that, okay. And I reached out to an assistant cameraman um, and his brother that I had met on a HBO set many years ago, and I'm like, hey, I had this thing going on, and whenever I get funding for a project, bro, somebody always tries to take over my project, And his brother's like, well, who's going to direct it? I'm like, I'm going to direct it. Is that a problem? And him and his brother tried to take over my project. And he's like, if I'm going to work for you, I want to direct this, and then I'm going to bring my producing partner with me, and then we're going to control the production. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. So I just cut it. I canceled the thing, and they just went back to work to their camera departments. But it's ultra competitive, and people are willing to step on you in any way to get to whatever job that they think
Oof,
that they're going to get. But the sad thing is
sounds
that everybody
familiar.
knows, yeah, everybody knows everybody. So it's just like, you burn one person and the whole town will know, you know. Um, I've known some people that have worked in the industry for 40, 50 years, and they make one misstep, they offend the wrong person. And guess what? Their uncle's father or uncle's, cousin or something like that, or, somebody down in their family knows somebody at the studio, and then all of a sudden the network cancels their show and no one is the wiser, So um, it's scary competitive, man. There's been stories where people, are murdering each other for, film contracts. Thankfully though, the film industry is not as vicious as the recording industry is, because music is so much
Oh
more
yeah, I
vicious
said
than
that's
motion
that's what I
pictures.
said. It sounds familiar. It sounds
Music
familiar.
is like, bro, this just indiscriminate killing, dude. They just go out there and just, just take each other out just for that spot, because there's only so many spots that are available, and
I mean, preach it, preach it.
I,
It's
I I
wild.
I wish that we had a more democratic way of allowing more spaces and more slots to be taken up by new faces, new voices, new artists. But
Well, you said it earlier.
um,
This is why it's important to own your own stuff because
yeah,
now I can create my own spot. So, you know,
yeah, that's
yeah,
very important, And a lot of writers, a lot of musicians, a lot of directors, they don't know that. They just end up working for somebody. They get used to their paycheck. And then now you end up on a TV show for fucking 10 years, and then you regret your career. You end up working television
right,
your whole life, which
right.
is fine, which is great. I'm not talking shit about TV. You
No,
get
but you
paid
don't want to end up
regularly.
in something where like you're forced. Like this is your life, bro. Like this is your life for the next whatever.
Right, dude. I like films, feature films, because it's 8 months, and then you don't have to see the people ever again.
I mean,
Because sometimes,
unless you do a part two or something, right? Like you don't
yeah,
have to.
unless the film like is a blockbuster, and then we get 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. The funny for that, but
I can't
when you're
imagine what the
working,
Fast and the Furious crews like. They probably all done some real world stuff to each other. Like I can't even imagine like over that everybody they probably could have sold like any kind of filming that went on in the background as another like set of DVDs or something.
I
Um,
think that franchise made over like $3 billion, and there's like Fast and Furious 10 now. There's like 10 movies, so it's
yeah, they're
it's
coming out. They want to do one more, and then he's done. And I'm like, 11, 11 is so weird. Like you guys already went to space, and I don't know. It's kind of out of control, but to each their own. I still watch them just because I'm a big film guy, but I'm also one that likes to finish sets. Like I need 1 through 10. If 1 through 10 existed, even though 7 through 10 were garbage, I still I still need it. And speaking of which, in that type of format, what are some of your favorite shows and movies written, and how do you feel about the modern day writing for entertainment?
Um, my first big director that I worked for was David Fincher. So everyone's afraid of us because we only make serial killer movies. You know,
Right.
um, I love David Fincher because he knows how to shoot, a scene, and he's very, very particular. After watching him work, I understand why he turns down 99% of the movies that people offer him. And people are kind of scared of him because he turns everybody down. You know, um, what I would like to see in the industry is for minorities to have more access. And I know that sounds ridiculous coming from somebody like me, but I would like more equal representation of ethnicities on the big screen, um, not only to get everybody involved, but also to have like an equal amount of influence, you know.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah.
my boss at HBO
Perspective.
wanted me to write political commentary, and him and the boss above him, Linda and Harry Thomason, they're connected to Bill and Hillary Clinton. So I didn't understand what he was trying to get me to do, but his goal was to try to get me to write political commentary so that I could shape people's voting habits. And I felt that was kind of dishonest. So I turned that down. And I probably pissed my boss off a couple of times and maybe lost out on a couple of screenwriting projects, but I don't want to manipulate my audience, just because I want to make money or just because I want them to buy something or just because I want them to vote for this politician or that politician. I feel like that's dishonest. I feel like entertainment should be
Wow.
pure entertainment and not brainwashing and not programming, like everyone's
Right.
out to do.
Absolutely.
And it's scary, man. That scares me a little bit.
I know exactly what you mean. So
You
being
know,
part of the industry, I know exactly what you mean. For the people who might not know, they might not know a portion of why the film is even being created is just to control your mind and
right,
just
right.
manipulate
There's
you.
like a little snippet message in there that they want people to
Right.
remember forever.
Right.
And
So
that's yeah, that's the
it's the
biz.
same with music. It's in music too. So like it's give or take.
Yeah,
Like you say, whoever you work for, depending on who you work for, who you work with, that that message or that situation can
yeah, man.
become you know colossal or non-existent, whatever the case. There's a little game we play on the show, and for you, it's going to be a little different, just because you're from the industry, but you're from the writing point of view. So we usually have mostly musical artists on. So we usually do a top five MC. Well, for you, what's your top five dead or alive writers of all time?
Oh man. I would say Aaron
Five,
Sorkin.
saying five.
Okay. I would say Aaron Sorkin, who
Oh,
writes a lot for David Fincher. He did Social
right.
Network. He also did A Few Good Men, right? His writing is
That's probably like
always
the biggest one.
very, yeah, very, very sharp. I'm also a huge fan of Chuck Palahniuk, who did Fight Club. He also wrote the screenplay for that. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Chuck
yeah, yeah,
Palahniuk
yeah.
they were supposed to come out with Survivor, but then, the whole like 9/11 thing happened, and then that got thrown out the window. You can't
Is
make a
that what
movie about,
derailed that project? That's what
yeah, you
happened?
can't, you can't make a movie about a plane crashing when 9/11 just happened. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
that's true.
So,
I didn't even tie all that together because it had
yeah,
like the plot isn't the same. But yeah, okay.
yeah. My boss and my boss's boss at HBO, they're a huge William Shakespeare fan, so I'm a huge Shakespeare fan. I love Shakespeare. Shakespeare is something that was taught to us at Canyon Springs High School, man. I mean, shit, dude. I don't know if you remember English,
Period.
but you
Yeah,
know,
I'm in my head. I remember we even had to shoot that little video, like where like remember when they put us in a group of five and we had to like shoot that
yeah,
little.
yeah.
I had to be
Um,
Romeo.
and Ryan Coogler. Ryan Coogler just got nominated for
Oh, heck yeah.
16 Oscars, bro, for
Yeah, I
Sinners.
heard
I don't
about
know if you've
that.
seen that, man,
Shout out
but
Ryan. I seen that. No, you
he
sent it over to
also,
me.
yeah, he also writes his films, and Ryan Coogler is an amazing writer, amazing writer. Okay, and do you remember the show Keenan and Peele? Key and
Yeah,
Peele? Okay.
yeah,
Jordan Peele is now a big time film director, dude. Okay. But he
yeah,
also
yeah, of
writes
course. I
his
got like
stories,
half of his
bro.
movies.
You
Oh,
seriously?
okay.
Man, amazing fucking
Yeah,
film director, dude. And
I
he
do.
writes his
I
own
like
stuff too.
his output. I like his output.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Bro,
I'm
if
into it.
if if there was a African American David Fincher, I think it would be Jordan Peele. Okay. His
Awesome.
stuff,
That's a good
man, it's
comparison.
just his shit is fucking haunting, bro. You know, that movie Get Out, I've seen that movie 100 times, man. I'm like, man, that's how Hollywood is, dude.
It's so well put together. It's so well put together. And then like Us and I know there was a few movies there that he had when I finally stopped on Nope. Nope is just like a good
Oh
like
man.
kudos. It's a good kudos to like 50s horror, like 50s
Yeah.
horror, so
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. A lot of people probably missed that satire, but I got it and I really liked it. And the fact that they just took a chance on just being original and doing their own thing, that's what you always appreciate. So shout out
Yeah,
to all those
man.
guys.
Oh
Shout
man.
out to Jordan Peele, Ryan. Like they're doing their thing right now, being different. Because my argument has always been this about the movie and music industry, even in college. I used to think, why do we keep coming out with Spider-Mans and Kongs? What is this kid going to school for? He's not going to school to write another damn Kong movie. You know what I mean? Like, what is he going to
Okay.
school for? You want him to go to school so that he can make another Terminator? Like, come on, bro. Like, that's all you guys are accepting? It's stuff that he doesn't
Yeah.
get. Like,
We
like,
we
like, live
spent
to be different. Live to be different.
people are
I'm just
scared to
being
do that,
honest.
man. Studios are kind of afraid to take
Of
chances.
course they are.
Um, we've spent billions and billions of dollars figuring out what people like, and every 7 years we reboot a franchise. We make the same shit over and over and over again. And in Hollywood, it is the two most common denominators. It's sex and violence. You know, when people pay their $15 box office
Correct.
tickets, they want to see some titties and they want to see some explosions. You know,
Correct.
and that's because most of the people who purchase box office tickets are teenage boys. You know, that is the biggest market of people who go watch films. You know what I mean? So
This is true.
that's why Michael Bay makes $40 million a movie. You know, because he's got all those Playboy models, and he's got all this.
Yeah, but
Stuff
still,
going
it's
on.
like you appreciate movies like Rules of Attraction and like
Oh,
Way of the
oh
Gun.
man,
The way
I
they
love that
tell these
film.
stories, and a
Yeah,
lot of people might find it boring the way they set them up, but I find those movies interesting the way they're
yeah.
set up,
Rules of
and
Attraction.
it's
That
like
was Bret Easton Ellis, and it's the
yeah,
same writer that wrote American Psycho. Okay,
correct, yeah,
and man, Rules of Attraction. That was Roger Avery, dude. You know, Roger Avery was overshadowed by Tarantino for so long, and Roger Avery finally came out and did his own film. And I thought Rules of Attraction was fucking amazing. You know, The Way of the Gun. That was
amazing,
also amazing. You know, and
amazing.
that's one of those classic films that I'll always remember because I've seen those movies like
Period.
many, many times.
A million times, bro. I watch them over and still to this day. I still watch Donnie Brasco over and over again. Like it's just certain films that the way they're written or created like stick with you, and it's never gonna. You can't duplicate the kind of reaction you get out of some of those films, and if it can keep that way, I'm here 20, 30 years later with some of these films still talking about wow. I can't believe this. Like this movie came out the way it did. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
still trip
man.
out on Snatch. Like yo, this movie's a trip. You know what I'm saying?
That was Guy Ritchie, man, and Madonna
Right, Guy
made all that
Ritchie.
possible, bro. Madonna was the one that hooked Guy Ritchie up with all those actors, and that was a very shoestring budget, bro. He fed everybody spaghetti, which kind of pissed people off. But thank God that movie was amazing because if it didn't come out the way that it did, I mean, people would have been very upset. Um, watch Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Same director, same writer, Guy
Great
Ritchie.
movie.
You
Yeah,
know,
great movie.
amazing
Great
film.
movie.
You know,
Hey, you still have two more
he's
picks, bro. You still have two more picks.
yeah. Let's see. I'm a huge Robert Heinlein film a fan. He does like sci-fi, Strange in a Strange Land. Starship Troopers was Robert Heinlein, the
Yeah,
remake on
Starship
that one.
Troopers.
I'm also a huge fan of Ridley Scott. That did Alien. Um,
Okay, fair.
yeah. Um, his directing always makes me feel like I'm watching somebody's dream. Like I forget that I'm watching a movie when I watch a Ridley Scott film or a David Fincher film. It's just the way that they can direct and manipulate the audience and your attention. And it's just, it reminds me of being a kid again. Do you remember when you were a kid and you go to the theater,
Yeah,
man?
all
The
the
fucking
time,
screen
all
is
the time.
50 feet wide, bro. You got the huge fucking speakers. Like that's cinema.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
remember. And I remember entertainment being musical, magical. Even music, bro. Like I remember music was like one of my favorite things, man. You know what I mean? Get a system for your car. You hop on the freeway when you're away to work, dude, and just listen to your favorite songs. It makes me daydream. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
I think about the days all the time. A common area of life that pops up in my head is when we had the box. Remember the channel The Box? Do you remember
yeah,
that we could order the music? I often remember that like 94 to 96 era vividly just because there was so much going on, so much music, so much sports, so much like life was so entertaining then. And we had it all, you know what I'm saying? All the shows, all the movies were coming out. That's when teen pop culture was at its biggest. We're getting like I Know What You Did Last Summers and Screams and like life was just entertaining then, between everything.
yeah, man.
Sports,
You
music
know,
was crazy. So, like I
music
often I
music
often
was the best in the 90s. I think the 90s, the late 80s, 90s, maybe even early 2000s. It was
that's it,
magical back
man.
then.
It was like you could wake up any day and whatever came on, we always had a hit or a banger to wake up to during our school days. Like I treasure those moments now more than ever just because it was like it's like an aroma, right? You smell and it just takes you back to that whole scene of
Yeah,
what was happening. It's
yeah.
crazy how much the nostalgia sneaks up on you. You know what I mean? But yeah, you still have one more confirmed pick. You mentioned that you like Ridley. You mentioned that you like others. But yeah,
Hmm.
complete your top five.
Let's see. I suppose the last one would have to be Woody Allen. You know, um,
Really?
yeah.
Oh wow, that one threw me off. Okay.
Um, his movies are really strange and quirky, but I find them very pleasant. They're always exposing the human condition, the dynamics of relationships between men and women. Um, you know, I know he's kind of strange and kind of went off the deep end, but I don't know. I've always been a fan of Woody Allen. You know, I've seen almost
Wow.
everything that he's
I
ever made.
wasn't expecting that name.
Yeah, um, yeah, but huge fan. I've seen most of his movies. And there's not a lot of people that like Woody Allen, but I really enjoy his work.
What the
Yeah,
heck? Woody Allen's so cool.
yeah,
I mean, I guess it depends on how you feel about how people act. But he's one of those wild guys that you just appreciate. At least I do, and it's just because he's such a cool, honest person and really down to earth, and he just means what he says. Like Woody's a good dude.
yeah, man.
So what's next for Sang Yu? Like you're linked in with Disney right now,
Well,
and as you spoke about the movie, what's
I
next?
uh, I want to set up my own soundstage. I have some friends who own soundstages out in Santa Monica. Problem is Warner Brothers wants $17,000 a week to shoot on their stage, so that is unbelievable. So I mean, that's almost $80,000 a month, just to shoot on their studio, and it's just ridiculous. So I'm looking into building my own stage so that I can, you know, kind of focus more money on paying people on the film set, getting people more to work, instead of just blowing my money on something ridiculous like there's a CG company
And
that
for those
charges.
and for those of those who are trying to become a writer or filmmaker like you, give them an estimate of what a decent soundstage costs.
Um, I could probably build like a 40,000 square foot soundstage for about $15 million, but it would have to be in an area where there's no airports, you know. Um,
Ooh.
so also it would have to be in an area where it's accessible to everybody. I really don't like shooting in Los Angeles because of all the red tape. Just to get a film permit, it's like $7,500 a day to get a film permit to shut down a street in downtown Los Angeles. There's a lot of people that are moving their productions out to Louisiana, Boston, Canada, to kind of escape those fees and stuff like that. Like I don't want to waste money on a film set when I can take that same money and pay somebody to work and put somebody to work, bro, and put food on their table. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any kind of
No,
difference.
absolutely, absolutely.
I want to keep all my brothers and sisters working. There's a kind of a huge
Yeah, you've always been
responsibility.
big on that.
It's a kind of a responsibility to be like the film producer. It's also a different feeling when I used to just collect a check from my boss, and now I'm writing checks to my employees. It's kind of a strange feeling. I never thought that I would get to this point. I thought I would just be like, a worker for the rest of my life. But yeah, man, I've been blessed. I don't know why, but I've been very lucky, and I met some right people. Connected to some really big names, and hopefully that I can inspire the next generation to do more. How I've been inspired, and just kind of keep this craft, this art going, of motion pictures and music, and other kinds of art, really, so that everyone can enjoy it, you know. And I think that's really important for me, you know. Sit down.
Oh man,
But yeah,
that's
man,
big.
I gotta get going. But do you have any other questions, bro?
No, that's it. The show, like we're wrapping right now as you're
Cool.
explaining. Just give everybody a chance to find you on social media. Plug everybody to the social medias where they can find you, and then we are out of
Yeah,
here.
yeah, man. You could check me out on Facebook or Instagram. I don't have tech like that, but yeah, just drop me a line, and I'll try to help anybody and everybody in any way that I can. If they have any dreams in film or music, I want to lead people the right way, and just help people like how everybody has helped me, to kind of to give back to the society from which I've taken from so much, you know.
And you're just under your name on both.
Yeah, yeah, Sang Yi on Facebook.
Awesome, man. Well, I just want to say thank you for your time and that trip down the rabbit hole of Writers Guild and film and just explaining the things that a lot of people don't get or understand. I think that's a really huge thing. I'm definitely going to get it up and running, post it everywhere, get you tagged in it, and let you know when it's up and running. But thank you for your time, brother. Thank you for that
Thank
introspect,
you so
and
much. Thank you so much
of
for
course,
having me.
we'll definitely come back around to you in a couple of months here and just see what's going on as everybody who's
Cool,
done.
man.
We're coming back around for just to see how everybody's done. Down
Thank
the
you,
road
man.
with their projects. But thank you, Sang. It's always good to hear from you, brother. And I hope you have a great rest of the weekend and a success. And nothing but success follows you.
Yes, sir. You too, man. Thank you, brother. Have a good day. Bye bye.
You too, man. All right.